you believe that we started recording right in the middle of 2020 with all of the COVID and lockdowns going on around us, unable to meet up? So like many a young gentleman, we turned to the internet for our entertainment. Tried to find a place where we could meet up and talk about the good, the bad, and that time that Stu saw a pelican on the canal. In order to facilitate our dreams of answering all of the big questions in film, and after a few attempts at recording via other methods to various levels of success, we found Zencastr, a super easy web-based one-stop shop for recording. Log in and you're ready to record in a matter of seconds. It doesn't take a tech genius to get high quality audio or video. And on top of that, the one time we have had an issue, the fact that the multi-layered backups are stored locally means it's easily fixed all in browser. There are plenty of tools you need when you start podcasting, so let Zencastr take that headache away as it offers a place to record, edit and distribute all from one website. Any lazy bones Jones can pick up and play and have studio quality audio or 4K video put out for the world to see when using Zencastr. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code CAGEFIGHTING and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same easy experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story. And now, hit the music.
Hello everyone, welcome to Cage Fighting, first GamesCast of the year, so that means I'm in charge. Well, with one exception, it's Daddy's day out, yet again. He's flying stateside, presumably New York. What he actually gets up to over there, who knows, because he's never really said. He's posted some pictures, hasn't he, but considering he spends so much time over there per visit, there seems to be a lot of dead air.
Do you think hello, Matt Guy here, do you think he has like a secret Broadway career that we don't know about? And actually he goes over it now and then just to do a very short residency in a dimly lit, low budget theatre on Broadway. And actually that's what he's doing for like a couple of times a year or something like that.
Well, he's actually not got bad knees whatsoever. It's just a lie.
It's all a fugazi for his singing and acting career. He's treading the boards of a New York theatre house.
He's like that guy, who's that English, John Oliver, who no one knows who over here.
Yes.
Maybe that's what he is.
Hey, listen, like, there's plenty of bands that have done it, like Orson over here were massive for a bit, and no one knew them in America, and they were American, so that could be it. Maybe that's
awesome.
Yeah, they did.
There's no tomorrow. Yeah.
That was huge, that song, for for about 5 minutes. And then they had another one, Bright Idea, I think it was. But yeah, they kind of went off the face of the earth. I'm booked in for a gig, believe it or not, later in May. It will be the first one when me and the good lady go out post-baby. And we've got to the age now where we're comfortable, the fact that we've got circles seated. Like, I mean, it's like a metal gigs, and you know, she's 5'8", so she struggles to see at most gigs anyway. So I think it's more to give her the opportunity to be able to see the band that we're paying good money to see. But there we go.
Yeah, and I just hope Andy's not. Well, it's not in America, so he won't be on stage. So yeah, everyone will be absolutely fine. I mean, my first thought was you were going to say he's got a secret family, but this somehow seems more logical.
Well, let's look at the facts. We know he likes musicals, and we know he likes that kind of thing anyway. And we know he has a penchant for being in the spotlight. He's the main man, Andy Gillard. So the things they add up bit by bit, I think.
This is probably why he got that Barbie hoodie and I didn't.
Yeah.
I already did twice. I mean, it still didn't arrive.
It's not what you know, it's who you blow on Epstein's hand.
Maybe that's where he actually does go. Maybe all these pictures that he sends us from New York are stock images.
Exactly. Like Kate Middleton. Except we don't know So for full disclosure, we're recording this like 2 weeks, just over two, no, just under 2 weeks from when you hear this. So at the moment, Kate Middleton isn't in a bunker somewhere in like Moscow. Like we don't know that, but by the time you hear this, maybe she is. So if this joke is in poor taste, then apologies. She could be dead.
Yeah, if she comes out and it's like her body's just in a box like in Seven.
Yeah, and then
all chopped up.
And then we become viral for all the wrong reasons, like a bad episode of Black Mirror. Yeah, that wouldn't be ideal, would it?
I mean, that whole, I did like that series of Black Mirror, actually, with the whole social media thing. I thought he was quite... I know some people didn't like it, but I thought he was quite on brand.
So I haven't seen like the later series of Black Mirror, but when it got to like having a celebrity in every episode, like, are they still good at that point? Like, it is almost... became fashionable to be a celeb and be in Black Mirror, didn't it?
Well, the whole point of the last season of it was the fact that it was taking the piss out of social media and influencers and that kind of thing. Yeah. So that didn't make perfect sense. And anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're supposed to be talking about. Or yet again, already this has gone off the rails. But because he's not here, he's left us a little present, like a little musical gaming Santa that he is.
Basically give us £10 and said, have a takeaway while we're away for the night.
Yeah, this is like when my mum went to Minehead without me. I was of age. I think I was about 19, but I'd never cooked food for myself before. So she had to give me a crash course the week before on how to cook sausages. Because I thought, well, I could live off. I'd planned the week. I think it was either a long weekend or a week. And obviously my brother and sister went with her. So I was left at home alone for a significant amount of time. And I'd already thought, well, I can go to Chippy one day. I could have one microwave curry. I could have a different type of microwave curry. But I'm actually going to have to cook something. I thought, well, I can grill sausages. That can't be bad. I've done it on a barbecue before. How difficult could it be? So, but she still had to show me how to turn the grill on. 19 years old.
You were 19?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I thought you were going to say you were like 13, 14 or something.
No, I was not. I was, because I'm special, and I was going to say I was touched. Because I'm special, I didn't have to do anything. I mean, bear in mind, this is when I used to have a little doorbell system that I tried to rig up for it to make me sandwiches and a cup of tea at 10 o'clock on the dot every single night of the week. But that's where she drew the line, because when I moved my brother out of the bedroom, because he used to, obviously we shared a room, and the one that I'd got it planned, because they were going to stay with my granddad, so I waited for them to leave, and then moved his bed and his wardrobe downstairs, put him in the back room, and then put a mortar stock on my door. I told that story before, but the added part of that was the fact that because he was beneath me then, I had this stick, like a Gandalf staff, that when it got to around about 10 o'clock when Graham Torrington was on, I'd bang on the floor in like Morse code. It was either cheese or 2 for cheese and brown sauce.
Fuck off.
And 3 for cheese and brown sauce and tea.
Where are the memoirs? We need to see the memoirs.
But this is the thing, you could ask my mum about it and she'd go, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done it really.
Well, yeah, it was what's the word I want to use?
Enabling.
Yeah, sure, it was enabling.
Well,
what do we have to discuss, Stu, today?
But in a weird way, this does kind of tie in, because what Mark did have in his room was an Xbox 360.
Uh-huh.
And I never had an Xbox up until the Series S, which we'll get to later. So Andy wanted to know, since he's not here, where we did the Idiot's Guide to A24 for your benefit a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be an Idiot's Guide to Xbox, and then for your point of view, in the second half of the show, we'll do PlayStation as well. So for me, the Xbox was in my orbit. It was in the house, but I never really played on it at all. So we've got a few questions from his lordship. The first one being, well, did you have an original Xbox?
No, so I never had the big black box Xbox. I had, at the point where like it became a competition between the two, I had a PlayStation, but there wasn't a rival then, was there? Was it the GameCube PlayStation, or was it
No,
3C, wasn't it?
Saturn.
So I had a PlayStation, shipped, obviously.
Yeah.
I had a PS2, purely for Grand Theft Auto 3 and Vice City. Like, but people bought it. People bought the console for that game. It was just the craziest thing. But I then went to 360 and never went back to PlayStation after the 360, and I've stuck with Xbox since then.
Okay.
So PS2 to 360 was the swing, was the transfer.
The jumping off point.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it about it? Because obviously when you got there, was the original machine underpowered? But when I remember it, I mean, Mark did have an original, the big black box, and he did have what did turn out to be it was Xbox Media Center that he came onto. It turned into something else, didn't it, in the end, where you could just watch anything or play anything whatsoever. But I don't remember it being underpowered because it had the built-in hard drive as well.
I don't know why I had to change, because I remember getting the 360 and plugging it in, and the only game I had was Rockstar Table Tennis. And I damn sure didn't buy it for Rockstar Table Tennis. I must have played on one at someone's house or something, and just being the easily influenced person that I am, was like, okay, well, now I'm getting an Xbox now. Because I didn't know about the performance capabilities of like the machines or anything like that. I wouldn't have had access to even know about that kind of stuff. I mean, when I was playing the PS2, I had that stupid thing that you plugged on the back so you could put an Ethernet cable in. So maybe it was something to do with the multiplayer capability of the 360 or something. I don't know, but yeah, I got that and then never went back from that. But I genuinely believe, and I don't know if this was marketing, stunning marketing by both companies really, but I literally never went to the other side because of my achievement game score. Yeah. It was literally like I built up, and I was like, well, I don't want to lose all of that. And there was no material gain to it whatsoever. Not like Xbox Rewards now, where there is actual genuine, like, you can get stuff off the back of your gameplay. I just didn't want to lose those game score points that I had. Ridiculous, really, when you think on the face of it. But it was a big deal. It was a huge, because we never had it, did we, before? Achievements, these little serotonin hits of, oh, you just did this, or you just completed that, or you've 100%ed this. So yeah, it was different, and I never went back after the 360.
But really, it's like getting a merit in school. It doesn't really mean anything. Other than later on when they're kind of where you could trade merit in for something like a Midland Bank voucher, which is what it was for me. NatWest for the kids. Oh no, it wasn't NatWest. It was HSBC, wasn't it? And then that merged. But yeah, I think with the achievement thing, I don't have mine on.
What, you turn the notifications off?
Yeah, I don't like being pinged at that kind of time.
No, I have to have it on. Like, it's all part of, like, I'm still playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the moment, just to 100% it. So like, I like having the notification of what I'm doing. The only time I think I've not had it on would have been, there was a reason why I turned it all off not that long ago. I can't remember what it was, but I don't know. Oh, I think it's because it got to the point where you were getting achievements on stuff like Netflix and all sorts. And it was a case of like, I was sick of getting like notifications coming on. That was it. I'd watch something on my Xbox, watching Disney Plus, like sharing a membership with someone, and I'd just get, your confirmed friends, like your favourite friends, kept popping up saying they're online. So I turned all notifications off.
Yeah, so you couldn't differentiate between trophy achievements and anything else. It was just one notification.
No, you can, and I'm sure you could. You definitely can now, but it's the path of least resistance. Just turn them all off, turn them all on.
Yeah, I think that's because I don't like playing with people. This is probably why because I'm very solitary with this kind of thing. And I remember when I did get it, and the first achievement popped up in that little ping noise at the bottom of the screen. I thought, nope, absolutely no way. Off you
Look
go.
at me. I don't want to know that I'm doing well at something. Fuck that.
Well, yeah, I think with trophies on the PlayStation side as well, which was a blatant copy, because it comes up in the top left-hand corner, and it tells you what you've done, what you've actually achieved. But there was somewhere where it messed up and it gave away spoilers.
Oh, well, that's shit, isn't it? Yeah. No.
So I think more for like I think if I was playing stuff like the bullet hell games, like Metal Slug or stuff like that, where you're getting a score and it's racking up the score and then you're achieving something that way, I think I can kind of see it from that point of view. And if you're playing COD Online, I suppose I get it. But since most of mine are like narrative based anyway, it's like immersion breaking.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But that network adapter thing, I talked about that before. That was the first. I mean, obviously on PS2 where you screwed it in with a 2p into the back, into the little hole. You obviously had to try and get a bit of porn running.
Well, wouldn't you?
I
I remember there was a PC shop that's, God, where would it be described as now in Wolverhampton? As if you were going towards like St. John's Retail Park.
Yeah, I know exactly where you are. Yeah.
There used to be like a PC spares shop there, and I must have bought a 30-foot Ethernet cable and I had it from the downstairs through the hall, up the stairs, across the landing into my room to plug in to play fucking SmackDown Here Comes the Pain, or whatever it was on multiplayer.
You know, them little white things that you tack it to the wall like a found light.
Oh man, I remember the first multiplayer I played was, I think it was it Medal of Honor? Medal of Honor Allied Assault.
Yeah,
on a PC, I think. And I was just like, this it gets no better than this. Technology has peaked. And it was like the shittest like gameplay multiplayer ever, but it was incredible at the time.
I think mine was probably Quake. Well, Unreal Tournament or Quake, one of them on PC. Back in like the late 90s. Because I knew, obviously we couldn't do it on console at that point. So I remember when I had it for PS2, it was FIFA. That's what I bought it for. It was to play FIFA against Japanese kids. Just because you can. But other than achievements, what does the Xbox brand mean to you, if anything at all?
I'm not sure if the Xbox brand means a lot, but I'm definitely like, I can't say like I'm anti Sony either, because I have like a surround sound system at home that is so painfully old, so painfully. Look, you've got the same one.
Yeah.
It's so painfully brilliant, and that's Sony. So it's not like I'm anti-Sony in any way. I think the Xbox brand, like, I think this is like a wrestling tribalism thing is made up by like a really small group of people that just have a bigger voice on the internet. Like, I don't think there's really that much of a thing there. Like, is there a brand for Xbox? I don't know that there is. You might disagree. Well, I'll turn it around to you a bit later, but I'm not sure there is a brand for the Xbox really, other than it being a Microsoft product and it being, PlayStation isn't Mac, but it kind of has those ties, I guess. In the we're so caught up, aren't we, in the 21st century? You're either Android or iPhone, or you're Mac or Windows or these, and I think it just ties into that a little bit. You have Coke or Pepsi or one or the other. So yeah, I'm not sure Xbox has a brand, I guess, or it certainly doesn't have any values. I don't go, I'm proud to be an Xbox. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's a bit silly, but other people might disagree, and if you do disagree, you can tell us what you think.
Oh, we can't get console war people on us. Actually, we can. You know what? Who's the boy? There's an excellent. It's over there. Console Wars by something Harris. Check it out anyway. it's charting the thing between the battle of Sega and Nintendo in the 90s. It's an excellent book. But back then, you had the whole thing of Sega does what Nintendo don't as their advertising slogans, where it actually was, but it was for kids. And yeah, when you say Xbox, I don't think it's a brand either. It's like an offshoot of Microsoft, like Surface, which it doesn't seem to have like a tribal following, which it obviously does online because you can get a tribal following for anything on there. But maybe not. Maybe it was a thing back in the 360 where it was clearly the better machine to start with.
Yeah,
and I remember because Mark had the same thing. Mark had that table tennis game. And going from PS2 to 360, because obviously PlayStation 3 was delayed by a year, I think. So it had a year to itself. Looking at things like the Tomb Raider game, the Anniversary, maybe the first one, I can't remember. I remember that and the King Kong game, and it looked amazing. And you had it like FIFA, EA HD, and all this stuff, where you're going from a normal telly to a 720p HD telly at the time, and he had one and I didn't because he had a 360 for Christmas or whatever it was, and I remember being quite jealous of that for a year until I could get my own. So I thought,
could you play DVDs on a PS2?
Yeah, that's why it was so popular.
Oh, you could. There was something I remember doing on a 360 that I couldn't do and I was thinking, this is the height of technology. I remember playing a game on the GameCube and it having actual video in the game. And I was thinking, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I think it was something stupid like, do you remember when it wasn't FIFA, there was a dedicated Champions League game that had its own story mode.
Yeah, it was made by Silicon Dreams, I think.
Yeah, so you had like actual like video footage in there.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I'd never seen that, and I thought this was like unbelievable.
Yeah, I think I know what it would be. You could do it on the original Xbox as well. You could rip your own CDs as a soundtrack.
Yes, that's exactly right. Because I remember having Murder Dolls, Dead in Hollywood as my goal music on one of the features. I remember that being a big thing, and that was, of course, it was CDs were the medium. I don't know when I had my first iPod, but that was like the only medium of getting my music onto anything. Because I never had a laptop or anything at the time. So
yeah, I never. Well, you could play, because there was a game on the original PlayStation called Vib Ribbon, which was a weird. It was a thing where it generated a level based on what CD you put in there.
Really, that's clever.
It's literally a black screen with a white line, and almost like a heartbeat kind of thing. It goes up and down, and you've got this little character called Vibby, who kind of jumps over these things. And the ribbon is the obstacle course. The ribbon is the game. But that depending on what CD you put in there.
Imagine you only had like David Gray, Babylon, or something like that. Babylon, something really shit. Like, or like on the flip side, you had like Seasons in the Abyss by Slayer, or something like that. All of a sudden, you've got a Dark Souls game and you didn't realise it.
Yeah, you're playing Vib Ribbon to System of a Down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that was as close as he got because he didn't have the memory because he didn't have a hard drive. Obviously, and then when the PS2 didn't have a hard drive either, and well, you could buy one later to, when I've talked about when I stored floppy disk files of porn in my drive bay on the PS2 because it was the safest place that no one would ever look. But because we didn't have a hard drive, we couldn't do that. So that was another thing that was on the first Xbox as well. But you couldn't do it on PS3 either.
Did I ever tell you about the time when I downloaded some porn using LimeWire? And because like it was in like Windows Media Player, it wouldn't let me delete the torrent. And I thought I was stuck with it in the torrent for life. Like I'll never be able to get rid of it off LimeWire, and like I don't know how to uninstall an application. And it was just on there, and I was just like, oh no, this is awful. This is the worst thing that ever could possibly happen to anybody.
Yeah, even then, I don't know how, because I didn't even do IT at school. Well, obviously other than up to GCSE level, which GCSE is now 3 years now rather than 2.
Oh.
Yeah, it's mind blowing. We went to thing for Ethan's. It was a selection night, which is kind of crossed with. It was crossed with like a parents' evening, but like each subject was like pitching for you to take their subject, the GCSE. And like obviously, it's ranked from 1 to 9 now, not A to F or whatever, A to E, and then you got the BTEC, which is ranked on 4 scales, and it's all a nonsense. But yeah, they take 3 years now rather than 2. So if you have one of them was you do one piece of coursework the first year, and then the second year, and then at the end of the third you do an exam. That seems a bit easy. Depends on what we had to do. But I didn't do IT at school, so I don't know how I taught myself how to create these like locked file folders and all this kind of stuff, and bury it in subfolders so that no one would ever find them.
They'll find them, Mr. Robot, and find them somehow, Stu.
Yeah, what an excellent show. Talking about robots though, and Xbox. Did you ever see that massive controller thing that they had for Steel Battalion?
No.
Look it up. Steel Battalion controller, Xbox.
Talk amongst yourselves.
It was basically like a flight deck, but for a mech game. And if you think,
oh my god,
yeah, you could buy that for 100. I think it was 100 quid.
That's ridiculous.
And I don't know what all the buttons did. But they always like
it had foot pedals.
Yeah.
Like, I mind you, like it's a big thing on like fucking TikTok now. People buying like simulator games. We're having like rigs. Like if you were like a trucker, having a proper rig with 3 screen all encompassing and having all of like the bells and whistles that come with it.
You see the guy he'd built like a little tractor in his front room.
Yeah.
I mean, that's going to be fun. I mean, I've got mine. I mean, that's what that. Obviously, for the audio listeners again, that flag behind me, if you were going to watch on the Fancast coverage, is covering up my racing seat, which folds down. But obviously, I'll sit there with a VR headset on as well for full immersion. But there's no room in a normal house to build a car out of metal and wood like these people do.
Car.
Yeah, but we never had that kind of thing on PlayStation. I mean, you had some mental stuff like SingStar and iToy even back then. But at Xbox, you had the Steel Battalion controller. You had, well, now you've got Flight Simulator as well and things like that. But I think that was what Andy was on about, where Xbox always seemed, Microsoft in particular, because you had the Sidewinder pad they used to buy for PC, and it was shit. It never worked properly, all of them. You had
They've had their gimmicks, haven't they? Like the Kinect, like that never really worked, did it? Was the Kinect the one, or was that the?
No, Kinect was on 360 first, was it? Yeah, because you had. I mean, I never once tried it. I had no real interest in it, and I think Mark did buy it, but it was like, well, no, just no. And I think that was one of the reasons why the Xbox One died in the end, because it was 100 quid more than the PS4. You had this stupid thing in there that no one really cared about, and then you had the whole thing about TV, and sharing games and all that stuff. But did you have you still got an Xbox One?
No, I gave it away. Because I couldn't be bothered to box it and give it to CEX, so I gave it to a friend who gave it to like a family with not a lot. So I give the Xbox One up, to be fair. But it was in really good working order as well. I could have made a couple of pennies off it, but for the greater good.
Yeah. And they'd probably give it up as well, realising how bad it is. But yeah, it was massive as well, that thing was.
Did the PlayStation have the equivalent Red Ring of Death that the 360 had? Has there been like a console-defining fault that... Because I swear to Christ, I had about 4 Xbox 360s and everyone got replaced under that warranty scheme where they'd send you a box and you'd put it in the box, send it off, and you'd get another one come back to you like a week later, like refurbished console that had the red ring of death, and they fixed it.
Have you watched the Xbox the official documentary?
No.
On YouTube. It's about 5 parts. It's really good because they talk about it on there. I'm just seeing how much did it cost them? How much did Red Ring cost Microsoft? Because, yeah, $1.15 billion.
Fucking hell.
For that reason, because they got it because they tried to beat PlayStation and Sony out the door by a year, which they did, but they didn't check it properly. So the solder kept melting, and did you do the towel thing?
Yeah, I tried it. Yeah, I did. I remember it really well. It's just the most ridiculous thing ever.
If you build something, it doesn't work. You have to. Well, so they've got no choice, have they? I think that's why they had the redesign. Because I have got one upstairs. I bought it on eBay for a laugh for 20 quid. So I was going to see what I could do with it, but I never got around to it because it didn't have a power supply. But I thought I'll get one from CX, and because it was the original, they didn't have any. So I think that probably did a world of damage to the brand, if we go back to that word again. Whether you had that unreliability factor, even though they did fix it later on, because of $1 billion back in 2006. But yeah, there was one on. Was it on PS3? No, it would have been PS4 as well. The yellow light.
Okay, I didn't know about this. I didn't know there was an error.
Yeah, the yellow light of death. It didn't really. It was nowhere near as widespread. But again, it was a soldering issue with a certain amount of dust build-up if you stored it one way or the other. So it affected probably 1% of machines at all, if that. But it did happen. It turned itself, the LED on the front turned itself yellow because that was the indicator. So then people looking it up on Googling it, and it was a yellow light. Never happened to me. The closest mine got to on my original PS3 was I had to take it in because it sounded like an aircraft carrier. Because the fans, because it was so massive as well, and the curved one. And you could have, comparing it to a PS5 now, it looks quite small and quaint. But it was huge. And I thought when GTA 5 came out, it was 6 months before then, I thought there's no way it's going to run that game. Not a chance. It's going to explode. So because it was an original that could play PS2 and PS1 games, it was worth quite a bit because they took that functionality out after.
Yeah.
So I got it done over by the Wing Bar on the.
Nice.
There's a
Stafford Road.
Yeah, there's a computer shop over there that did it. It was only like 20 quid or whatever. So I got all the fans all cleaned and some parts replaced and everything, and it was like brand new. But I thought I could probably still sell this now and get a brand new slim version, which I still got today, and paid no extra money for it. And so that's what I did.
Winner.
Yeah, that touch wood, I've never had a problem with that version. It's still there. And nearly 20 years later.
That's mad.
But yeah. So you go from Xbox One to the Beast. There's the Series X. Was there you've already said about achievements, but was there ever a doubt?
No, and I think what was the selling point at the time, was through game you had, I can't remember what the scheme was called, All Access, I want to say, where you had a 0% APR over 2 years. It came with Game Pass for 2 years. You skipped the queue to get a console in the first place. It was just a no-brainer for me. The whole I never had the Xbox One X, whatever it was called, the higher performance one. But the whole no load times, you jump straight back into a game, it runs quicker and smoother and everything else. It was a no-brainer for me. The thing that had me on the edge was some of the exclusives that PlayStation had and have. But I think I was brought back in by that that one. I don't even think you could get a PS5 anyway, even if you wanted one at the time. And I'm an incredibly like impulsive person. Like the coffee machine that I've just bought myself, right, as a little treat to myself. I only saw it about 5 days before, watched about 2 hours worth of reviews. I thought about nothing else until it was in my hands, and I was like that with the Series X. I was like, I have to have one. How do I get one? Got this scheme, want it, I'm going to get it, and then I had it. And I haven't looked back. I've had no problems with it or anything like that. But I think the gap, I suppose, like I really missed the fact that the first game I remember being really jealous of not playing, I think, was probably, what would it have been? So there's the Spider-Man game, obviously. Then what was the name of and you're gonna laugh at why I think I'd be upset that I couldn't play it. What was the name? Was it Heavy Rain?
Yeah.
I couldn't play that, obviously. That wasn't on the 360 or the...
It's on PC now.
And like The Last of Us, which I still haven't played. So yeah, there was a small bit of doubt, but yeah, it was always going to be the Series X in the end, just because of how easy it was to get your hands on one, and the fact that it was like 0% APR as well, like it was affordable, etc., etc. And it came with Game Pass as well.
Yeah, I mean, you segued almost perfectly into it then. Going about the exclusive later, but he kind of encapsulates it as well. I mean, I've tried for years to get Andre to get Game Pass on PC, just for cloud, just to give it a try. Tell him why he's silly not to try it.
It is an insane like amount of content on there. The functionality with cloud works really well for the most part as well. Man, I've played much to the disgust of my ever-loving wife. I've played when I've been away in the van, like my Xbox at home, on my phone, connected via like Wi-Fi, and like using like screen mirroring and all that. But the cloud itself through the Game Pass, it's just insane. The library of games is ridiculous, and for the price as well. Like I mean, am I right in thinking the PC version of cloud can just be done on anything? Like as long as it's capable of getting a Wi-Fi signal, it's got a decent screen, you can pretty much run it on anything, as long as you can like Bluetooth the controller to it.
If there was you could potentially play it on a PS4, because there's a browser there. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to. But yeah, I've done it on the shittest old laptop possible, and it works fine because it's just streaming. It doesn't need anything else.
Processing the power of the thing you're on. It's just the screen it's on.
Yeah, all you need is a decent Wi-Fi, or hardwire. As long as you've got decent internet on both the you upload and download speed and the modem in your specific machine that you've got using it for. Fill your boots. It just works. It's ridiculous how it just works as well. When I've sat there before and I've played, I played new Super Lucky Tale, which is it's a nice fun little cartoon platformer. Hardly any input lag at all, and if there is, you're gonna get used to it.
Yeah.
So just for that point of view, playing it, and obviously that's Game Pass Ultimate before people start. But you get PC Game Pass. I mean, I got PC Game Pass with an Ultimate for Football Manager because it's on there every year. And why wouldn't you?
Well, yeah, exactly. Like it's alarming sometimes how quickly the games go on to Game Pass as well, and how quickly you get access, or even day one releases and stuff. Like the I'm not saying the day of the physical media of game is over and there isn't like day one releases of games, because that's silly. There absolutely is, but the fact that like Xbox buy into the fact that you get it day one on Game Pass is now a thing. Do you know what I mean? It's never used to be like that, did it? I mean, obviously you won't get like your Grand Theft Autos and that as a day one Game Pass kind of thing, but you know, they do have huge titles that are like, their selling point is that you'll have it on Game Pass, like the Forza Horizon, like all the Forza games in general. You get them on Game Pass the day it's released, and that's the big selling point for Game Pass, not for the game itself, but to have Game Pass.
And like Starfield,
Mhm.
70 quid, or was it? If you get it through CD Keys, which is the best website in the world, it's legit. 25 quid for 3 months? Try it out. You got another 400 games on there if you don't like that. I mean, I've bought one game on my Series S in the 4 years that I've owned it. That is it.
That's what it was sold as. It was a Game Pass device, wasn't it?
Yeah. That thing's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, obviously, I wouldn't have had it if it wasn't for COVID. So thank you, COVID. But I got it because I had money, because there was no football.
Someone will clip this for all the wrong reasons and use it against us now, but and they'll edit it in such a way. But it's a shame that it's white, the Series X, because it just aesthetically doesn't go in so many people's living rooms. I know it sounds stupid, but it just doesn't. Like a white box in most media units are like black, just sticks out like a bloody humbug. If that was black, I guarantee it would have sold more.
There is one now.
Yeah, well, at the time though, there wasn't. When the choice came out between the two.
Yeah. I mean that for a while when I had them next to each other with the PS5 and the Series S, I mean they're both being white, next to a green and purple Switch. Well, my PS3 is white as well, so it's all a bit white pen.
Steady, Stuart.
Yeah, Game Pass is awesome, but exclusives. And now they have said that the floodgates are opening, that the games are coming to PlayStation as well. Probably not all of them, not yet, but maybe one day. Hit me. If you get in a Series S, or if you splash it out and get an X, or if you just try and Game Pass, what are the big exclusives? And that is the one difference as well, that you can go back and play original Xbox games, which you can't on PS5.
Yeah, like I was looking through it the other day and like being able to play the not the rare replay collection versions, but the original Banjo-Kazooie and the original this and that is just crazy. I know that was this 64, but like when it was re-released on the Xbox. So are we ignoring the Switch at this point just for the sake of this Xbox versus PlayStation discussion?
It's its own thing, isn't it? It doesn't matter.
So any of the Ori games, Ori and the Will of the Wisps being the first one, an incredible platformer, probably the single greatest platformer when you consider it as gorgeous looks and gameplay combined. It's just a stunning game with a great story. The gameplay is mad as shit as well, and it's tough at parts as well. And when I played it, I was like, hands down, this is a top 5 of all time game. It's brilliant. It's sensational. Game Pass, can't get it on the PlayStation. Really, really wonderful. Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, I think from like Judgment Day onwards or whatever it was, it fell off a bit of a cliff. But the Gears of War games, I can't remember an over-the-shoulder shooter before Gears of War that anybody really cared about. I'm sure there are, don't get me wrong, but like its gratuitous violence was just at the right time for a generation of people, and that being Xbox, that was like that was one of those games that like almost made you tribal about the Xbox because only you had it, and it was like you wanted to show off that you had it. And it was one of those games where people would have. I had merchandise for Gears of War, like a hat and the COG dog tags and stuff like that. So those games, and then I suppose it's not for me. I've never enjoyed them really, but the Halo games, they were just huge when that was Xbox. You talk about a brand. Well, actually, Halo was the brand, wasn't it, for the longest time? And I played Halo. I just wasn't like, while people I know were playing Halo, I was playing Call of Duty. It was just apples and oranges. They're both fruit, but they're just very, very serve very different needs, I guess. And that's like, I'm not saying that's it, but PlayStation have always had the better exclusives, I think. You got the Forza, but then PlayStation had Gran Turismo, so what does it matter? Apart from that, those are the ones that really stick out for me. Is like you've got Hellblade. Is that on PlayStation?
The second one's not. The first one is. The second one's not.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that shortly. I guarantee it. But like at that point, I've always thought the PlayStation had the edge on exclusives. To be honest.
Yeah, and then other than PlayStation games going to PC a year or 18 months later, which they seem to be doing now, which I would have a problem with. That's the thing, like people say, oh, have you got a problem with it going over there? And like, over there. Like it's the thing that we can control, and it makes any sense. But if you got 18 months to sell a game, you're not going to, as a rule, sell a game 18 months after it's been released in bulk. So you might as well put it somewhere else for other people to enjoy.
Yeah.
That's what I think, but if you look at the few games that you've listed there, over 20 years, it's not much.
No, it's really not. I don't. There'll be others. Like there'll absolutely be others that I'm just forgetting at the time. But those are like I've never, outside of the ones that I mentioned though about PlayStation, like I'm spanning generations of games. I can only think of a few that I was definitely not jealous that I couldn't play motocross. Do you know what I mean? Like on the Xbox and stuff. I wasn't. Who gives a fuck about that? So yeah, it swings them. I mean, yeah, Viva Pinata. There's probably another one that you couldn't get.
Yeah.
He genuinely. And I think we only spoke about it a few weeks ago on the podcast, but it's genuinely an excellent game. Any of the rare stuff really that comes out of that world, like Conker's Bad Fur Day, another N64 faux Xbox when they acquired like the rights to it and stuff. Oblivion and that obviously you can play on. Was that ever an exclusive? I mean, they're going to be an exclusive, aren't they? Haven't they moved over?
We'll see. And if they've got any sense at all, then Elder Scrolls 6, you'd think exclusive only on Xbox and PC. They'd sell shitloads of machines.
Yeah,
but I don't think they will. And like with Call of Duty, they bought that, and I don't think they will. But it's one of them. You can play Skyrim anywhere. For them to sell the next one on Xbox, it'd be weird, but
it would.
Yeah. But there is still. I mean, I still haven't played Gears of War, which is a stupid thing to do, considering that's one of the reasons I bought the thing in the first place.
That's an abomination. That of all of the things you've said and done on the 3 to 4 years of this podcast. That's got to be up there, one of the bigger crimes that you've committed.
Yeah. I'm not even going to debate it because I know it is. And, I mean, I don't really care about Halo. I mean, I actually quite like the Halo's TV show, but that's probably because I don't care about the games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of them. I think there's definitely things there for the fact that there's 400 games that on there and that not many are actually exclusive anymore. It's still 400 games for like 30 quid.
Mm-hmm.
For a tenner a month. So I think I couldn't say to someone like, "Oh, if you get it," I mean, my son's got an Xbox, my stepson's got an Xbox. They've got PlayStations. Don't know why. It's up to them. Which brings us on to PlayStation.
So when it comes to the PlayStation and your experience of it, well, talk me through it. When did it ever become a point where you might have defected to an Xbox or vice versa? Or have you always been PlayStation for life, live and breathe it?
I mean, I've owned, other than that Pocket Station thing that Andy didn't think existed, that little memory card device that never got released here, and that was like the thing that you got on the Dreamcast. I've had every machine. So,
Vita, PSP,
yeah,
the lot.
Yeah, I've still got my Vitas in the drawer there. It's always powered up, just in case I get the itch. Yeah, I've always had them. I think you were spot on earlier when you said it's almost like an Android versus Mac thing, a PC versus Mac thing, where your PlayStation, all your games are on PlayStation now, especially digitally. And just looking at the amount of games through PlayStation Plus over the years, just the 3 free games, well, free. You pay what? I think it's about 80 quid a year now for PlayStation Plus. But if you look at the library of games, and it's on over 400 that are just there, just accrued over the years of just being subscribed to that service. It's not Game Pass. You can't just jump in and get that a la carte. You have to have been there for a while.
Yeah, that would be a sticking point for me. That retaining that tenure though is like, will keep people around though as well, because they don't want to lose that. Like, I had my fucking 15-year Twitter badge the other day. That cesspit means nothing to me, but there we go. Andy put in the group chat, and you're going to have to give me some context for this. He'd put, how different would the gaming world be if the PS Nintendo thing not have fallen through? So what's he referring to there?
Oh, you don't know about that?
No. Was there some collaboration or something? Or
someone found there's one prototype of a Nintendo PlayStation. It doesn't work, but they managed to get it working to some degree. It was basically a CD add-on for the Super Nintendo back in 1992, 3, something like that. And it was going to be announced as a thing. And at the last minute, Nintendo pulled the plug. This is in the PlayStation documentary as well, which is, again, excellent. That Nintendo pulled the plug and went with Philips at the last minute. So the project was called PlayStation as 2 separate words, because the Super Nintendo sound chip is a Sony sound chip.
Right.
If you take it apart, it's in there. That's what it is. Being a music company, electronics company, that's where they got the sound chip from. So that's where the collaboration came with Sony and Philips. Was it as well? Did someone else own the rights to CDs back then? But that's where it came from. And then the Japanese betrayal, they ain't going to take it lying down. So they went and made their own machine using the parts of what was the add-on, and then used parts of Sony Music Division to build it up.
We did not know that. That's well, you learn something new every day, don't you? So does PlayStation mean something to you? Does the brand mean anything to you? Do you stand proud as a PlayStation owner and what feels like a stock owner, seeing as you've had all the products?
I mean, there has been times where I have thought about getting a PlayStation tattoo.
Oh my God.
Of just the logo or the sacred symbols, as they are actually called.
That's more acceptable, I think. I mean, listen, long gone are the days where you've got to worry about finding a mate. So that should sound like that. So you're fine from that point of view. So why not do it across your forehead?
Yeah. Like that girl on Twitter the other week, the people went mental because they thought it was real.
Yes, I know what you're about, yeah.
Stupidness. Yeah, the triangle, circle, X square across my bicep. That was a considerable thing that I was almost going to do at the time.
I tell you what, it wouldn't have looked as bad as Mark Clattenburg every time we see him on Gladiators with the Euro 2006 logo or whatever it is across his bicep. And this looks fucking ridiculous. Or whatever. I can't remember which tournament it was that he's got it tattooed from, but God, it looks stupid.
It's got to be Champions League, surely. I know someone got a Champions League one. Yeah. Was it Howard Webb? Someone definitely got a Champions League tattoo. Definitely. It might be him as well. He might have that as well.
He's gone full on like even though it's all done over one series, and I swear to God, like it's I'd swear they filmed it over like one night, the entire show of Gladiators, because they're in the same clothes the whole time. They're like the Walsh son and father. They've turned him into a villain all of a sudden. Mark Clattenburg he's now coming in and doing DQs all the time, and everyone's booing him.
Well, that's probably why he's working for Forest.
Well, yeah, probably is.
But yeah, PlayStation as a thing. There's such a thing as the PlayStation game, which I think but that didn't really start until PS3. So if you look at the PlayStation game, they are all very similar to each other. They're all third-person, action-adventure, open-world things. Uncharted is not an open-world game. It's probably the closest or the kind of thing that you can compare Gears of War to, even though it's not the same. It's more... I'd probably say Indiana Jones compared to Commando, if you want to compare film-wise. But you go after that, and then The Last of Us is a single-player thing, and it's quite linear. But then you've got things like Ghost of Tsushima and Spider-Man and Days Gone, and there's just a raft of these games where they are not over the shoulder, but they are third-person, open world, like Horizon as well. I know Goldie loves Horizon. I didn't really get on with it, but I was playing Zelda at the time, so it kind of messed me up. They're going from one to the other, and they were very similar. Like you couldn't climb a rock face in Horizon where you could in Zelda. So it was like, oh no, it's the two games are too similar at the same time. So I think you got that, and then you got the RPG stuff.
Yeah, I think there were certain things on the PlayStation when that came out, like games that I really wanted to have a go on, but I just knew that financially I wouldn't be able to have both consoles at any point. Like Uncharted, again, that was another one that like it grabbed me that I really wanted to do, but yeah, it's, you know, unfortunately, for all of the damage to my psyche that my parents' divorce did upon me when I was 6 years old, having a PlayStation at my dad's house and an N64 at my mum's was really one benefit of having that, because I got to play both like things at the time. But yeah, it haunts me forever. But what are the best exclusive games over the generation of the PlayStation that really jump out to you?
If you want to go, like, I remember the first one where I was actually amazed by was Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, God, I loved that. Well, did I play Jak and Daxter? I must have. Yeah, I've definitely played it because I played Ratchet and Clank and I played Jak and Daxter, and they were like the two. Which one's better?
Yeah.
So was Jak and Daxter PS2 then? It must have been.
Yeah, it was, because the technology for that. Obviously, they went from Jak and Daxter to go and make The Last of Us. Same people.
Yeah.
So, but that was the thing. Exclusives didn't really matter back then either. Well, the first one, and especially with PS2, I suppose you had Wipeout, which was amazing, and Gran Turismo, but in the early days, you could think like Siphon Filter doesn't exist anymore. On PS3, the Resistance games and Shadow, Killzone, they're all dead now. They're all gone. So you're looking at the exclusives now, and a lot of them games you can't play on PS4, PS5 anyway, because it just doesn't work like that. It's a different system.
Yeah, I always think to myself when it comes to stuff like that, like, it depends if you believe in like alternate universes and stuff like that. But I think if I was into PlayStation, I would be a proper fanboy of PlayStation, because you see it every Christmas, like the 3-for-2 presents at Boots and stuff like that. There's always PlayStation gear and always PlayStation mugs and oddly stress balls of like the different like of the pads and stuff like that. Whereas I don't think you quite have that with the Xbox, or they're just not as good at marketing it. I don't know.
Well, funny you said that. I was in B&M earlier and I saw the stress pad. But they had both of them now. There's an Xbox one now as well, and an Xbox clock as well.
Speaking of which, I know we're like a pair of like ADHD participants here, but I was in the Mega Home Bargains the other day, and what a specimen of a store it is. I'd been to the one, to be fair, at where the Jolly Giant was on the way into town. Yeah, the Mega Home Bargains. But the irony is, because Sports Direct, which now has a game, so it is brought back sort of to gaming, has moved into its old. Its old store, which is just silly. But that was a thing as well. That's probably a one for another podcast, to be fair. Is that... Do you remember when Game in Wolverhampton City Centre, Game opened up in Sports Direct, and they had a room where you could go and pay to play?
Yeah.
Well, has that ever got... Why would people do it? It seems like the weirdest thing. It's like trying to revitalise the arcade, I guess.
Unless it was like one of them things where, like an adult creche for the disparaged husbands.
Yes.
Or wives. Let's not discriminate. Yeah, I don't know anyone who ever played anything in that shop at all. It just seemed like a baffling thing to do.
If they had VR, or they have VR, then because I'll never own like what's it called? Oracle? Is it Oracle?
A MetaQuest.
Yeah, I'll never own that. Like, I just won't have the money to ever get something like that. But if I could play it and pay a tenner to play it for an hour somewhere, I probably would. So
give me a tenner and play it here.
I know. I know. Will you film me and put it on the internet? And then I'd end up being locked in like a Buffalo Bill style corner of your house that no one knows about. I know. Well, like, yeah, I'll play, but why have I got to take my clothes off? The first question.
Well, we're all friends here. But yeah, well, VR is a good point as well, considering you don't get VR on Xbox. Now, the fact that they've launched it and they haven't done anything with it in an entire year, but there's hardly any games for it. It's all they're all like third party and things like that. So it's like they do these weird little gimmicks, and the Portal as well. Oh, that thing! I love that thing. It's amazing, but it's not for everyone.
And and get your minds out of the gutter, listener. But can you just watch things on it?
No,
you can't.
No,
have Disney Plus on your console and watch it through the VR. You're not in VR, but you can't just watch it as a screen like it is if you're watching a really close super screen.
Oh, VR, yeah. I thought you were talking about the Portal then. Yeah, VR, PlayStation VR 2, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can have it as an IMAX on your face.
Yeah.
It works quite well as well because the resolution is high enough. And it's not as high as that stupid Apple Vision Pro thing. But then it's £500 compared to £3,500.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I have done it. I've watched a couple of things in there. I think I watched an episode of The Mandalorian in it. It's decent. There's still like a bit of pixelation, like where you can just see them slightly. But it's once you're watching it, it's not really an issue.
Is it relative to your head moving or anything like that, or is it just the image, no matter what you do with your head?
So, where I know what you mean because you watch them Vision Pro videos as well, where it locks in place. So if you got the thing on, where you're looking is where the screen will be. So you can look around and you can look. So the screen's there, and you can look and you can still see the screen there. So it's not like it's stuck on your face and you're moving like that.
Yeah.
So it is almost like being in a screen in a cinema. You can do it's like you're watching it from a cinema screen. If they had little CG chairs and stuff, it'd be better. Rather than just a black space.
Yeah,
which is a bit annoying. But you don't get babies or doll prams. Like, was that Ash you put that in the other day?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
terrifying. But yeah, I like VR. It is what it is. I can't recommend it though because there's no games to play on it. But I played Gran Turismo on it, and for a Gran Turismo simulator in VR, that's more than enough for me. And the odd game, the Star Wars Galaxy and things like that, that's great. But the Portal thing, like you were saying, where you played cloud gaming in the van, you can play cloud gaming on a dedicated machine built to cloud game with the same controller effectively bolted onto the sides of a screen. It's perfect. It just works. I've never tried it outside the house though yet. I've tried it in the house. I've changed the settings on the router and everything to make it optimum. But again, you can play Spider-Man, no problem whatsoever. And it just works.
So will it work in a Wetherspoons beer garden, which is what you really need it for?
It hasn't got a browser on it yet, but apparently some Google people have hacked into it though. So I presume that'll be sorted soon.
Fucking nerds.
But you can obviously tether it to your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got decent 5G, which I'll have a look tomorrow. I've never tried it. But if you've got a decent 5G connection, then you can definitely connect it to that and work. So you could do it in a beer garden.
Nice. That's all that really matters.
Yeah. So if you have the actual question, obviously the Uncharted games, you mentioned Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls, and then the third game, Detroit Become Human. All the very similar by the same people. Love them games. There's Until Dawn as well, which is teen slasher horror thing, all exclusive, and I think they're all on PC now, the vast majority of them. But things like The Last of Us, like you said, just impeccable. The second one, I need to play really properly because my controller died halfway through the start of that game, and I never went back to it. So I need to play The Last of Us Part 2 properly. Spider-Man, obviously. Spider-Man 2 yet to start because I was still getting through the DLC, which I never played from the first one. Miles Morales, again, an extension of that. But they're all very much that kind of game. Well, they're all that kind of game, like Ghost of Tsushima, and that's coming to PC soon, so there's more people to play it.
Yeah.
Things like that, where it's just a cinematic experience over and over again, where the combat's not that high, but if you want something that'll move you, things like Journey, that was 90 minutes long. I love that, and that was that probably is console exclusive still. But it was an amazing experience. Things like that, like indies and weird Japanese stuff, and then you got Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is only on PlayStation for some bizarre reason. These games are like as high production quality as you can possibly get. I mean, you don't seem to get that anywhere else.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So if I was saying PlayStation to anyone else, I'd say high production quality, a lot of showmanship, but it's outselling everything else 2-1, 3-1 in Europe. So I think it's here to stay.
Very good.
Yeah. So if you found this rambling informative, do let us know. And if you are a console warrior and you have a side that you're dedicated to, if you're green or blue, let us know, and we'll abuse you for it. I have no idea what's next week, to be honest.
This is I don't know. I assume you and Andy are going to have to do some form of question cast, depending on whether I have a screaming infant or not. So the problem is when Daddy is away, the organisation was also away with him. But I think we're going to probably record a GamesCast Daddy's Away Part 2 where we talk about Nintendo as a thought piece, and then what we're kind of looking forward to over the year, I think gaming wise as well, which I think will bridge the gap if you know, Daddy has an encore on his Broadway performance.
Yes. So for that part 2, who knows when that will come out? But yeah, we'll find out. Obviously, follow us on the socials. You know where we are. Andrew will be back soon, unless he's killed or taken away on Epstein's Island. Goodbye, everyone. Matthew?
Thank you, everybody. Look after yourselves. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Apologies for the slight rambling nature, but me and Stu have a tendency to go long and, again, get your minds out of the gutter.
Goodbye. Always go long. Ta-ra.